Namatu Ratana Tayassa. May I pay homage to Triple Gem, the Buddha, Dhamma, and the Sangha. My respect goes to my parents and my teachers. Hello, good evening, everyone. So today is Friday, the 8th of January 2021. And this is Achan Sujan from Morapunya Meditation Center, Aberdeen, Scotland. So as usual, I'm here with you all tonight. I'm just testing different programs and different equipments that we have at the center. So please let me know if you hear me properly, because I'm using new devices as we have a problem a couple of days. Meanwhile, I was trying a so-called OBS program so that we can have a proper a live stream. It appears due to the internet or my ignorance, still not able to use this new program. So I will be learning and hopefully will be able to do that. And easy for all of us to learn about it, and easy to easy for the broadcast. Right, so good evening, everyone, and thank you, Margaret, and thank you, Yvonne. I'm very glad to hear that the voice is pretty good. Okay. So we had, we are having a wonderful time this morning and even afternoon with the snow and the center. Technically now it's 2 weeks of snow around in our center, and we are in in a spell of a snow queen. It's nice to have snow, and particularly today, the old snow was so beautiful, powdery snow, and you can walk around and no slipperies, and beautiful. But you cannot stay long. I had a walk for probably about half an hour or more, almost 45 minutes around the center, and I felt cold in my feet because we don't have snow boots. But it was lovely. So I wandered around and took a picture and came back and again learned this new technology, hoping that I can understand and use that technology for everyone to hear me properly. So it reminds me that in the past, I used to tell people that in a modern life, I am a modern monk, and I rephrase this modern into more than a monk. So more than monk, and become a modern monk. And that's simpler because as a monk, we're supposed to be living like a poor life, less engagement with the society, and living in a monasteries, no devices, any phones or any computers and any social medias and something like that. And even there is a misperception that a monk should be vegetarian. I remember so many incidences that I come across, and there are so many people when they come for the first time, come to see me, or is even seeing a monk, and from experiences, it tells me that there are so many people still thinking Buddhist monks are vegetarian, and Buddhist monks live a life very solitude, like if living in a forests, with minimal devices. And when they found that we have a television, TV in our living room, and suddenly there was there were a few comments that how on earth in a Buddhist temple you have a television, and it shouldn't be, kind of that way of looking at it. And in the meantime, when they realize that, oh, I'm using iPhone, then again, oh, Achan Sujan is using this iPhone. He's supposed to be living a simple life, not having any devices like this. But look at him, he's using iPhone. And kind of a disappointment is there for them. And further on, when they realize that having a laptop, and then again even more. I remember a couple of years ago, and in the past, I used to travel with a laptop with me wherever I go, and I was so workaholic. And I used to write and I used to type every experiences wherever I go, and then I was just typing, and then there was a one time I was traveling from Aberdeen to Europe, and at the airport security check, I was asked to remove a laptop, and when I remove a laptop, and I was checking, there was a one gentleman come to me, and he asks me that, are you a Buddhist monk? And I said, yes, I am a Buddhist monk. And he said, you're having a laptop. How could you have a laptop? And I say, oh, this is a laptop. I got it. And he was so disappointed that I was having a laptop. And he even said that monks shouldn't have this luxury of having a laptop like that. And then it was quite interesting to see. And similarly, about the mobile phone, that was also one time I was using this 7 Plus mobile was just on the market, and my previous iPhone 6 was not working. So, and one of our members lent me to use this iPhone, and I'm still using it. And this it's been a four years now. And I was using this, and I was traveling to Nepal, and at the airport again, they saw this iPhone, and then one of the, I think he's from somewhere in Europe. I presume he was from France. Come to me and said, "You're a Buddhist monk, and you have this latest iPhone." Yes, so what? And he was so disappointed. So like that, and again, this is a borrowed iPhone. I'm still using it. And this year I'm supposed to change it and return it to him or to her. We'll be doing it soon, if possible. Right. So, and that's how it happened. And there's so many expectations that people have, or their preconcept or pre perception about a Buddhist monk's life and a Buddhist monk should be. And I always think, you have so much perception about Buddhist monks. I wonder whether you have studied or not, or have you understood Buddha's teachings or not? And you're still attached to all sort of what is called essential pleasures. We Buddhist monks also do still have essential pleasures, having the iPhones, laptops, and certain things and like that. But still living in a minimal practices. And the Buddhist monks again spend much of the time for the welfare and happiness of other people. So like that, and it reminds me that that we all are still engaged in this essential pleasure that we always desire and have a lust towards seeing a nice thing, hearing beautiful songs and beautiful voices and birds singing, and want to eat nice food. Want to eat nice pizzas, like a pizza is a favorite for Ajahn Pira, like that. And this we cannot avoid, to avoid from it. And this is still there. And the first thing that we normally are engaging is to find the pleasure from our senses, and which is very common to all of us. And not only that we are feeling engaged with the sensual pleasures, but also sometimes we want to be in a certain state or certain positions. And now we can see the American riots, which is happening in America. And again, Donald Trump, he still want to be the president. And again, there are so many people is supporting him. And meanwhile, there are other groups who do not want him to be in the position, like that. So there is again the perception of wanting it to be, or wanting to be in a certain states. And that is also, the more we hold on to it, there will be a more pushing and pulling game going on, and which again, we cannot disagree. We all have that. Similarly, again, we will have a certain views that again, the views, which is quite a complex subject to talk, again, and not knowing. So in this, we always in a flux. We're moving around, moving on with that. And this reminds me the story from the time of the Buddha, that it happened that one time when the Buddha was living in Savatthi, where the Jeta's grove, one of the famous city where Buddha stayed most of the time. And in there was the Jetavana Vihara, which was established by Anathapindika millionaire. After buying that place with the gold lying on the floor, on whole the area of that space, and that place was given or offered to the Buddha, and that was the Jeta's grove. And there, and this is again, it said that Buddha normally engaged his duties of the day after some people went to sleep. He will be talking to the celestial beings known as Devata, or our Devas. And on that night, certain night, it's called a far extreme of the night. That means the second night, probably around 10 o'clock or 12 o'clock, in between that time. This celestial being comes to speak with the Buddha, and then on arrival, bow down to the Buddha, stood aside, and standing there, ask to the Buddha that, tell me how you cross over the flood. And here, when it says that the Deva the Deva she arrived at the place where the Buddha was, and she stood by the Buddha, And here again, a suitable place where she stood, known as a place is not far away, not close, and not against the wind, and then not uh, not in the at the back, like that. So that's how when someone is speaking, you can hear properly, and that is the suitable place. And then that moment, she simply asked to the Buddha that how you cross over the flood. And here, flood basically means that we are always carried away by this flood of sensual pleasure. When we hear something nice, we want to go and listen who is singing the song or who is there. And if someone who we have affection, then again, even hearing her or him voice, we want to go and speak with him. Similarly, we want to see the nice things at all the time. Like today we have a snow, despite of how hard you resist yourself not to take a pictures or not to go and play with the snow, you just go, and it's just like a flood. You will just go and do it, and you want to be and you don't want to be, kind of those state. We constantly with that sense of the flood we going on, and then a Buddha said that Buddha, he said that I have crossed over the flood without pushing forward and without staying in a place. So pushing forward and staying in a place. And normally what happens is that we push to get something, and we stand to attain something. Okay? So we push, or in a way, it's like a station. We station, and that basically means we entertain with whatever we are in, and we indulge with that. And that indulgement is also known as a kama sukhalikana yogo, and which means sensual pleasure that we are so attached to and unable to overcome from that sensual pleasure. And the second is pushing. Pushing here basically means we constantly want to find out, want to get it, want to attain it. So we push hard ourselves too much. Pretty often, if we look at ourselves, in order to attain something, we are pushing so hard. We are so hard on ourselves, and that's why the practice is not to be too hard on yourself. Be compassionate to yourself. When you become compassionate to yourself, then you will be able to see through the things. But again, it's not easy. Even the deity, the Devata, when she heard that the Buddha crossed over this flood who is sweeping human life away, from far away from the realizing the supreme happiness, Buddha said he didn't do without pushing forward or without staying at the same place. Then she again asks him, saying that, oh dear sir, did you cross over the flood without pushing forward, without staying in place? How did you do that? And again, the Buddha said that when I pushed forward, I was reeled about. When I stayed in place, I sunk. And so I crossed over the flood without pushing and without staying in a place. And so that's basically, when we stood still, basically it's like a sandbug. If you stand still there, it just goes in. Yeah. And then and when I swim, it's like you swept away. But whereas the Buddha, he simply didn't do both. Okay? And here basically is talking about the when we talk about standing, then basically we indulge in essential pleasure. So rather than indulgement in essential pleasure and looking for the sensual pleasures, we understand the reality and that. Yeah, and also we are not pushing too hard on ourselves to find so-called happiness, which is not there. And we have given up that too hard on us. So with this, what happens is that we don't have to worry about too much, and we have overcome the sensual pleasure, and we understood the limitation of what and how much we need and how much we want, and we will be able to differentiate between want and need. And now in this such a difficult time that we are living in, and which shows that in the UK today alone there are over 1,000 people died, and over all total about almost 80,000 people have died due to the coronavirus. It is basically teaching us quite a lot that what we need and what we want. And I'm pretty sure at this time a majority of people will be thinking about what I want rather than what I need rather than what we need, what I want. So everything become a minimal, everything become a conscious using of all the foods and all the material things, and even pushing ourselves harder or not harder. And this is how we become more conscious about ourselves and the way we live our life. And this is again simply this COVID-19 is teaching us rather than looking for what you want, think about what you need during this time. And it is very uncertain, and it's very uncertain that anything could happen at any time, since there are so many other reasons. Number one, the Brexit, and number two, the coronavirus, and again, number three, this is the insurgents in America probably will cause quite a lot of disruptions all around, and I'm pretty sure it will affect ourselves too. So in this case, this moment, this time, we need to be very conscious about, be mindful of what we want and what we need it. So particularly do not let yourself float or wash you away with the news or wash you away with what you want, and do not be indulged with all the senses. And again, forget about, or not forgetting, be conscious about your views about different things, and be conscious what needs to be done. Sometimes you may have to stand still, other time you may have to push for yourself to get the message and to get the success in your life. And as long as we have this greed, hatred, and delusion, we are still wandering in this world, and it will be difficult to overcome. Whereas the Buddha, he could do that because he was liberated. He could stand still and not pushing himself, so that he can overcome all the defilements and all the problems, whereas we still engage in such activities and we are not liberated yet. So understanding that we are not enlightened one, we still need to realize truly what we are going through and what are the causes of that difficulties, and there must be a way that we can learn and find out, and finally we will be able to overcome all those troubles, all those miseries, all those unhappiness, and finally attaining happiness. So I end here for tonight's reflection on standing and pushing, and do not be indulged in any materials thinking that will brings happiness, but the knowing how you use it and what you need it. With this, it brings peace and happiness in our life. So thank you everyone for listening, and in a few moments time we will be having evening chanting and guided meditation. You're most welcome to join us. Meanwhile, just a notice that day after tomorrow on a Sunday we are going to have a remembrance day, and that basically remembering our departed loved ones and dedicating and transferring merits to them if they need it. Unfortunately, we won't be able to have you all at the center. Center is still closed, so you can send your departed one's name and even the picture, so that the center will do the ceremony on Sunday morning at 10 o'clock, and it will be live as well, so you can follow up too. So until then, thank you and good night. See you shortly. Sadhu.